everybody, Devin here. It's I think been probably my most eventful week. I'm aiming 3 videos this week, which is pretty good. So some of you probably are thinking, "Whoa, what is going on?" Linux Mint. I thought we were only going to be looking at some of the littler guys. Linux Mint, even though is technically based on Ubuntu, which Ubuntu is based on Debian. It would technically classify it as a smaller guy because they rely a lot on the larger distributions' quality of code. But at the end of the day, based on how many people actually use Linux Mint, one could say, well, it's definitely nowhere near as big as Ubuntu, but it's definitely a lot bigger than many of the smaller guys. I'm going to get to why I'm going to go over Linux Mint and a lot of other details. One of the first things I did want to go over, though, this time of year and this year is always an interesting year. Ubuntu is doing an LTS release, which means Linux Mint is about to do a new LTS release. I would assume with an LTS release, we can expect to see. I would expect to see a new elementary OS, and there's a lot of other distributions who base on the LTS. The other thing that's crucial about the LTS is the fact that everyone who uses the Ubuntu, this doesn't apply to our Fedora, OpenSUSE, and Arch users, but for the Ubuntu users, you got your people who upgrade every 6 months, and you got your people who only upgrade every LTS. So that means when an LTS first comes out, everybody is upgrading to that. And so one of the things I want to show you guys, and it'll save you a bit of time, it's not a super cool trick, but I've watched people do this thing where they create this. They open up their app store, right? They do the fresh install, and especially if you have multiple computers, this can be very painful. You do your fresh install, and you're going through, and then you're installing all of your applications. Okay. What I recommend, if you have multiple computers, create a text file. Give it a simple name. Like I call this one app. And in here you can see I'm adding my repositories. I've got a wget command to pull down a deb file. I run an update. I then install the deb file. And then I go through, and this is just a small list of the software that I use, but I go through and I say I want all of these to install. Okay, and because I add the -y parameter, the only interaction I actually have to do with the text file is I have to push enter for the PPAs. Okay. And then actually what I would probably really do is I would actually take these two here. Whoops. Okay, give me a minute. What I would actually do so I could actually walk away. Okay. I'll have to agree to the EULA for these two, but then the rest of these will just go and install, and I can walk away from my computer. Now you're like, okay, well fine. Now how do you run the text file? That's actually pretty easy, and for some people, they probably already know how to do this. But all you will do is you open up a terminal, okay? Now if we do that, we can see there's the text file, app. So you want to do a sudo chmod u+x app. Okay, and so what we're doing is we're giving it execution permissions on the machine, okay? And it's done. And then to run it, you don't have to necessarily sudo. I just sudo everything. That way I don't get bothered with and then do this. I do a sudo on everything because if I want stuff to install, I want to make sure that it has all the permissions it needs. Now, some people will be like, well, you shouldn't sudo everything. Yeah, but I wrote the text file. I know everything that's in the text file. I want to sudo everything in there. And yeah, they all say sudo, but we don't want any hiccups. I don't know if the app will if the text file will actually run without it. I've never tried it. I just sudo. But by doing this, it's actually going to run that text file, and it'll run all those commands in the order that you have it. Now, you might have a much larger list of applications. And some of those applications, like if you're on a GTK or a GNOME-based, same thing really, desktop, Digicam has a lot of dependencies that have to install. It could take a while. So why do you want to come back to find the next application in your app store? Build a text file, add everything that you want in there, and then do this simple step. Like I said, you'll have to sit there for a few seconds to push enter for all the PPAs to load. And then you'll, like I said, if you have something with EULAs, put those at the top so you can agree to those. And once those are done, walk away. Most of your open source software doesn't have an EULA that you have to mess with. It's like I said, it's the best way to manage your software without having to sit there and go through an app store. And I know some people are like, dude, this command line, it's archaic. The command line to date is still the most powerful utility us Linux users have. And if you don't believe me, then why is it that Microsoft, with each new year that goes by and at their build conference, they're constantly showing off how to do things in PowerShell? Because they know that the GUI cannot provide what we call automation, and that is exactly what this is. I am automating something to handle all my installs for me so I can go play with my kids and not sit in front of my computer and hunt down software. Not to mention, the other nice thing is if you save that text file on a external drive, you have a file share on your network, or into a cloud service, you don't have to sit there and go, oh, what was that other application I always used? No, it's in the text file. Now, that doesn't mean with the text file you won't have to alter some things. Example being, if say you go on the next LTS and then you don't do this again until like say Ubuntu 8.04 comes out, you're going to have to go update your wget command, because it'll still work like the wget command itself, but example being the package link that you're sending it to, it's probably been changed. So there are a little things that you may have to tweak here and there, but it's definitely saves me a ton of time, because I have my desktop, my laptop, and my son's computer that I have to upgrade, and I don't want to sit there and hunt through software for each one. Okay, so I'm going to answer the first question. I'm not going to answer why this is an apology video yet, not till the end, but I'll answer the first question that probably is coming to mind. Why are we looking at Linux Mint? I think this is version 18. Or maybe it's 17. We'll look. And the next version is like due out in like a month, 2 months. Okay? Because we're not actually looking at the latest. What does Linux Mint have to offer? What we're actually looking for right now is we're actually going to be looking at features that Linux Mint has offered for some time. Okay? And why perhaps this is maybe, in very opinionated, the best Linux distribution out there. Maybe. It never hurts, right? So the first thing that we want to do, as always, I do this every time, the website. The website's pretty standard, but one thing I'll give them. So a typical Ubuntu release, you got to go look at the different Ubuntu flavors list. So if you want Kubuntu, which is actually not sponsored by Canonical anymore, hasn't been since like 2012, it's actually now sponsored by the same people, by Blue Systems, you'd have to go to the Kubuntu website. If you want Xubuntu, you got to go to the Xubuntu website. If you want Lubuntu, you got to go, and so on and so forth. I can come here and I have my Cinnamon edition, my Mate edition, my XFCE edition, my KDE edition. Okay. Now, if I'm still not sure, I can now go to the downloads and okay, Linux Mint 17 is what we're on. Now, we also have LMDE. That is the Linux Mint Debian edition. Okay. I have used it briefly. I will tell you right now, I'm not a huge fan of Debian. I like Debian, huge respect. But damn, I got to do a lot of work to do something like install Steam, or at least used to. And because of that, as you guys know, my philosophy is I use an operating system to work, not to sit there and tweak. Okay? Huge difference. I like to get my work done. So we can go to the downloads, we can go to the Linux Mint page. And I mean, we have all these versions right here. Okay? Very simple. I'm actually going to get a little bit more into the website a little bit later. All right? So, a couple of the first things. What does Linux Mint do for me? Well, one of the big things I want to point out, when I was an Ubuntu user back in 8.04, I thought it was so cool with the GNOME 2 desktop. And I think it was even in 10.04. I was able to, come up here, right-click on this panel, and do tons of customizations to it. That kind of has gone away. But not in Mint. It has not. Okay, so we can come in here and we can mess with the settings here. Or maybe I go, I like automation. I want something different. I can come to the add and remove, and I get a ton of pre-built stuff. I like Blue. I do. I had a hard time using Blue and Linux together though for a while because one Linux user I was reading, he posted something like, why is it that every Linux distribution loves using the colors gray, blue, and black? But I do like it. But, I can come in here and see, look, it changes the themes. Now, maybe I'm like, this isn't what I'm looking for at all. I can go to the available themes online. Now, look at that, 426 files. Now, I don't know if that means there's 426 different themes. I would assume so. I would assume I mean, there's a ton of them. And as you see, it's pulling them down pretty quickly. This is like really, really cool because like, let's say you want to do something with GNOME. Okay. You have to go to the GNOME like tweak website. They have all sorts of different websites whether you want extensions, whether you want tweaks, all this different stuff. No, I can open an applet, right, and come in here. And one of the things that's really nice is I can sit down and I can say, Balder. The only thing I wish, well, I could do the more info. However, it's oftenly faster to come in here and pick which ones look appealing and click install selected items. And I mean, like, look at that. Seriously, my web browser would like take that long to just open and run them, right? And then I just click on the new theme and I click apply theme. And notice, wow, it really smooths out. And then I click here and wow, this is very sharp if I like those lighter themes. Or I can say, well, what about the minty theme? I can just say apply. And notice it changes on the fly. Well, that's a nice glass finish. I really like the glass and the green. That's nice, right? Or let's apply this one. Okay. Still glass, changed a little bit. Generally very similar, though, I would say. Or, you know, you might go through all of it and say, I really like just the Linux Mint look. It's still glassy in a way. Not fancy, though. But anyway, I mean, that's cool, right? You know, you can come in here and you can click on your controls. And look, you can essentially select a whole bunch of different controls. We can go get Windows borders, right? And I mean, there's a ton of borders in here, right? I mean, very, very cool. Now, some of these will actually come from your themes. And so to prove a point, and we will actually demo this here in a little bit. Let me look for, give me a minute. There was one. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Well, why is he clicking on that? I'll show you. I'll show you something I was thinking about because I actually don't like the look of Windows. But when I saw this, something kind of came to mind, and I'll show you guys at the very end something that really does come to light for me. But anyway, you know, you have all this customization, okay? All this customization. Now, the next big thing that we really want to go over, to me, this is a huge, huge selling factor, is the software sources, okay? Now, okay, software sources. Now, this is like light years above what the Ubuntu one offers, like hands down. Now, I want to make it clear. I am in no way, shape, or form making fun of Ubuntu, saying Ubuntu sucks, none of that. But they are a good baseline because this is what this is based off of. Linux Mint is an Ubuntu product, or a product of Ubuntu. Now, let's say you're a part of the country where you're like, damn, man, every time I run updates, it takes for flipping ever, right? Well, you can come here and say, like, it's the Mint ones that are bothering you. Click on it. I get to see all the mirrors, and I get to see the speeds, and I can change to any one of them. Now, that is flipping cool. Now, could you do this in Ubuntu? You could, but this was a lot easier for me to find. It's a lot easier for me to say, well, which mirror should I pick? I mean, do I just like select one and then hope for the best? No, I can pick one of these and know that the world's going to be okay. All right, and I can do the same for the Ubuntu mirrors. I can sit down and pick, and look, I can see my speeds. Now, on the Ubuntu ones, and sometimes I've noticed the mirrors are very slow to load their speeds, okay? But, you know, you can take a few minutes, sit, let them all load up, and hope for the best. PPAs. I hear a lot of people say, Ubuntu doesn't have a PPA manager. No, they do. It's in the software sources. The only difference is, this looks a lot better. This looks a lot better. I can go through and uncheck, and I can do edit URLs, edit PPAs, I guess allegedly, I can open a PPA. I can update the cache. It's just better presented, but Ubuntu does offer the same functionality. Additional repositories. I can add repositories here. So instead of doing, you know, if you ever seen, like, you're trying to set something up and you see like the deb, HTTP, and you're adding a repository with the echo or whatever it is, yeah, you can just do it here. Authentication keys. These are very important authentication keys. You get them with your PPAs, and believe it or not, you can set them up with your repositories. And maintenance, fix merge list problems, purge residual configurations, remove foreign packages, downgrade foreign packages. All I'm saying is the software sources in Mint, I think Ubuntu has a lot of it, not all of it. There's certain things I'm sitting here going, I don't recall seeing it. But even if Ubuntu has it, I don't know it's there because this presents better. This is a better presentation of what I should be seeing. Now here's the other thing. You guys ever notice, like in Linux, our software or our system settings always suck? Like, legitimately, okay? And believe it or not, at the end of the video, I'm going to get to why I'm talking about all these GUI tools. Because it's not the Linux way, right? Well, you don't use Mint and shun someone for using the GUI. That's why they build all this in. This is one of the most complete feeling control panels I have seen in Linux next to, like, Windows. Other than the KDE desktop. The KDE desktop has a pretty rocking system settings. However, I would also argue not very easily navigated. Okay? But startup applications, this is super, super important. And I don't understand why support for NVIDIA Prime. I don't have an NVIDIA graphics card. Anyway, this is super important. Because you know what I've done at my work? We needed this display to populate and show... it's a product called PRTG. It shows our network information. We have this little NUC that we put on the back. I set up, actually, I didn't know Linux Mint had this, but Mate does, Ubuntu Mate. I set up Ubuntu Mate. I set Firefox as a startup application with a default web page to the PRTG website with an automatic refresh. It's a flippin' appliance. And then I go in and set the power button to be the on-off button. It is a appliance at that point. It runs smooth. That is something that's there. And it's also nice because, you know what? If, say, Linux was to ever take off, do you really think, especially being open source, we wouldn't have the problems that Windows does with vendors plugging in applications? Oh, you bet. And you don't think software vendors that we do want to use aren't going to try and set all their stuff to set to boot so it's faster? Oh, no. They will. Okay, trust me, they will. So, anyway, you know, we have that. You're able to very easily control multiple aspects. I mean, you come here into your themes, which is where we were at earlier, right? You can come into effects, and you can turn on effects on dialog boxes, fade effects on send and scrolls. I mean, all this really great stuff, and then customize. I'm a little scared to turn it on. Oh, look, all these different things that really have been disappearing over the years from the Linux desktop. Window tiling, workspaces. I mean, legitimately, guys, hot corners, privacy, preferred applications. This is something I'm going to give him huge kudos on. Why? I'm going to give him huge kudos for the simple fact that, you know what, at the end of the day, where is this in Ubuntu? It's there. It does exist. It's under the details. Why? Why? Why do I got to go to details to set my preferred applications? That doesn't make any sense from a consistency standpoint. Okay, you know, you got power management, printers, sound. I mean, the sound is very nice. Input, sound effects. A lot of this is not that this stuff is missing from other Linux distributions. A lot of Linux distributions, believe it or not, they have this. The difference is how they're presenting the data to us. Okay, so let me see what I got. Well, we talked about software sources. We kind of showed some of that. Let me show you the software update product. Now, software updater in Ubuntu, or Ubuntu-like distributions, often sucks. You have Ubuntu updates. You click on, if you knew how to click down the little buttons, you'll be able to finally see what you got going. You just click install mindlessly. Here, you're actually could see the updates. It almost gives you more of a Windows style, right? I'm not saying Windows does it better. I'm just saying that familiarity piece. I'm all plugging this in. But then level. And I think it's level 4 or 5. Automatically it's not set to install because they don't recommend it unless you're doing development. Okay, that's cool. That's really cool. Now let's also talk about something else that I was really happy to see. USB image writer. Everyone's like, Ubuntu has that. They do, but have you ever tried to like burn a Fedora image to it? One, it hardly does Ubuntu images by itself. But like legitimately, if you try to use another Linux distribution, it often won't even recognize the other Linux ISO. And if you have found a way, please let me know. Because without workaround, it does not work by just opening it. This one does. This one does not care. You can burn any USB image you want to any USB. It does not care. It'll do it. That's one of the really cool tools. But this was the other one that kind of shocked me. Backup tool. It's going to require root privileges because it has to perform a backup. Now, you'll notice that there is a tool also in Ubuntu and many other Linux distributions, in fact, that is called backup. It is actually not called backup. It's called Deja Dupe. if I'm saying it wrong, I do apologize. I'm just phonetically saying it. Deja dash dupe. Okay, this is not that product. If it is, they did a whole new GUI for the front, and it has a functionality that's a little bit more presented. I could back up files. I could restore files. Backup software. Oh my gosh, you're kidding, right? So I'm just going to say desktop, right? This is like epic, right? So Windows doesn't have it built in, but there's a tool called Veeam. Veeam allows me to do full bare metal backups. So literally, I have a little USB with Veeam on there. I can plug it into a Windows laptop, hook it into a network to a network file share, and restore the machine to any point that I have a backup. And I can save backups for up to like 14 days. And they're incremental, so I don't use a lot of space. I don't think this has all that functionality. But one thing that's missing from Linux, really we don't care about backups because, well, we install pretty quickly, right? Well, what if you're that guy who builds the script I said, but doesn't save it to the machine, or saves it local to the machine, not to outside the machine, so if the machine needs itself, you got to go through it. I can now come in here, uncheck what I don't want, and back it up. Now, you guys notice, well, use set for desktop. It's because I don't have it going anywhere yet. But, I mean, in my opinion, okay, this is awesome. Technically it'd have to be 2 backups, but I could back up my files, back up my software. I install Linux Mint, which takes like a total of 15 to 20 minutes, and then restore everything, right? I'll restore my software, and then I'll restore my files. That is flipping awesome. That is excellent. Now, I will tell you, I have not tested this at all. I have not tested this tool. I haven't done it. So, yeah, my apologies. One thing I will mention, so we've talked about software, we talked about the effects, we talked about everything. I find myself on any Linux distribution not happy with the defaults, not happy with, a lot of the software I have to get. This system includes everything I need with the exception of a couple different preferences. And the only thing I've seen missing that would make this a fully complete operating system for any user is a firewall. And I know some of you are thinking, GUFW is not a real firewall. I beg to differ. I've tested it. It does actually block things. Java is one I've tested. And, no, really, no, never mind. That's it. GFW. And, I guess where I was going is a lot of Linux users think you don't need a firewall because Linux manipulates the protocols of the internet, the web, and networking, right? So, we don't need firewalls. That's a Windows thing. No, we still use the same protocols as every other operating system, what allows us to connect to the web. So, let's see here. We talked about all this great stuff, okay? Now, I want to go back to the website, okay? I want to go back here. One thing I wanted to point out. I want to show you guys this. OEM. You know how many times I've found an article or a thread where someone's thinking about getting into the desktop business, and we all kind of sit back and go, good luck, right? But especially with gaming PCs becoming more of a thing, I see tons of people who build gaming rigs on eBay because they can sell them for the same price as someone else, or maybe like $10-20 less, which to some gamer will make like all the difference for him to brag to his Xbox buddies, right? But, at the end of the day, what you see is, I've seen numerous threads where people, like, even under Fedora, how do I make a Fedora OEM? No one knows. Ubuntu, how do I do that? There used to be guides for the older versions, but the newer versions, not so easy. And from my understanding, the process is you contact Canonical to build a gold image. Why can't I just build it? I could go buy Windows OEM. Why do I need to do this partner relationship? Cinnamon or Linux Mint has been doing this for a very long time. OEMs. And to me, that's very important because basically as a vendor, I am not making you commit to me. You just pull down the damn thing, sell it. Good for you. So the one thing I did want to show, this was impressive. I did some math. I don't like doing math, but very interesting. Okay, it's the community of donations. Now, if you can't see, 2015 started off Started off doing a little better than 2014, got a little rough, started to pick back up, and then just went boom, shot through the roof. Okay, 2016 is doing very well. To give you guys some perspective numbers, in 2015 on donations, Linux Mint made $102,789. Now I know what you're thinking. Well, that's not really a lot. That's what people donated. That does not include their sponsors. That does not include their merchandise sales. That does not include, I don't know if you've seen it, their second or third rendition now of a Mint Box PC. Like, seriously, people, they're making money in other areas as well. This is just what people have paid, saying, thank you, please keep developing. Now, here's something else interesting. Okay, so keep that in mind, $102 some odd thousand, right? And that took 12 months. For 2015, now if you notice, he has not given out the numbers yet for April, but just for Jan, Feb, and March, they have made $40,438. They are on track to beat last year. And historically, when I've looked at this donation chart, guess what? Historically, they beat it every year. Every year, they make more money in donations. And in turn, we get to see more money get put towards the project itself. You know what? That is impressive numbers, okay? If you ever notice, a lot of other Linux distributions never announce what they make on donation. Ever. These people are making money off sponsors, advertisements, not in your OS, but I've seen some advertisements on the side, but maybe they're all. Like this, I think, is a advertisement. They make a little money there, okay? But, you've got that. You've got the donations. I mean, these guys are making a ton of money. And, I mean, it's huge. It's huge. So that I found that to be really cool. The next thing I wanted to also show off is the Linux Mint community page. Okay, this is a really cool website. I can't exactly remember my user logon, but it's cool. You don't have to have a user logon. It doesn't necessarily stop you. Okay, but they have the typical stuff, right? So they have the main website, they have the blog, which he updates all the flipping time, and they have their forum. But then they have this page, okay? And this page allows you to get to kind of see some statistics. But look at this. I can come in. I can go to the ideas page. Here are the ideas that people have been talking about, and the comments, and the votes, and the scores, okay? Tutorials. These are tutorials, okay, of, yet again, the comments, the votes, the scores, okay? Software. Right? And then you can come in. And so let's say, I won't look at Office because I'm a boring person, right? Open Office. And you can see how they're scored all the way down, right? You can come in here and you can say hardware, okay? Type, brand. I mean, you go in. Seriously, guys. I mean, we could spend like almost an hour like going through this. Now, some of you are like, chat room, right? I'm going to show you something. Now, let me see. Linux Mint help. How flipping cool is that? So you have a forum, you have a community website, and you have the chat. Now, a lot of Linux distributions include the chat. They just a lot of times don't include the pre-built-in connection to the help page. People, in a sense, they have better support than like most Linux distributions, right? They almost give you, it's free community support still, but they give most end users, say you were just Joe Blow off the street who got so tired of Windows and you actually wanted to go this route, guess what? You would never flippin' know that this was free support. You would just think this all comes built in. I mean, this is like something from a flippin' Mac commercial, right? Now, one thing I will kind of point out, something I've noticed, because I have used Linux Mint some time ago. There used to be two here. One was a Linux Mint help. Another one was a Linux Mint just community chat, and I went in there a couple times. It was really cool. I got to like talk to some people around the world. I was talking to like one guy in Australia, and I was in the Navy, and I had actually been to Australia a few times, and we were talking about it. He's like, "Oh, I've been to where you've been," and I'm like, "I know." It was like really cool. I think they might have got rid of that because I'm sure that page still exists, but they're thinking of it from a commercial standpoint. If someone was to open this up, they're looking for support. Well, here you go. The only thing I would like to see them do is, I understand it's hex chat that's into the application, but actually maybe call it help, right? That is something I think that would be like super cool. The last thing I'd really like to go over, okay, is battery life. In terms of the ups, we have some other stuffs to look at, but in terms of ups, battery life. So you guys probably noticed in my last video, I was using Kubuntu. So I'm kind of with this issue, guys. I love Ubuntu. I like Canonical, but I see them still really pushing forward with the mobile market. I like my Android. And it's not to say I would never use the Ubuntu stuff, but I want to use a desktop that I feel like is still moving forward. And I'm not saying that Unity's not. Oh man, I have a feeling I'm going to open a can of worms by saying this. As a personal choice, I decided I want to look for a desktop community that's still working. And Kubuntu, I really enjoyed. And I like Fedora as well. Fedora with GNOME. Fedora GNOME, actually, I will tell you now, if you want one of the, I don't want to say smooth experience, but a beautiful desktop where everything looks like it belongs with each other, they nail it every time. The problem is I don't want a 6-month release. I want an LTS. Okay. And I was using Kubuntu. I like Mate, I like Lubuntu, I like all the other guys, but I want a kind of some maybe more classic feeling, but newer looking desktop, if that makes sense. I was having really bad performance issues. And if you guys ever notice, you see me doing a lot of distro hopping, but I made the comment of, I really like this distribution, because you guys notice I did that with like the last elementary OS. It was because I started having performance issues. I would have announced that. However, my performance issues, most people probably wouldn't have experienced based on workflow. So, with that being said, one of my big issues has always been battery life. Battery life, battery life, battery life. I will tell you this, Linux Mint, I get the same battery life as Ubuntu, if not better. When I was using Kubuntu, oh my god, my battery on my System 76 Galago Ultra Pro would last like 2 hours. Okay? I'm back up to just shy of 4. I mean, seriously, that is how bad the battery life is under Kubuntu. And I'm going to say most people experience that. It could be something that has to do with that OS and my battery and something else. I don't know. But using Linux Mint, I get my battery life back, which is definitely pleasant. I like all the customization. Okay? So that was my next big point. Like battery life, I thought that was really cool. Now, I do have 2 concerns. Well, I don't want to say 2 concerns. I have 2 problems. Okay? This one has been a complaint since Cinnamon became a thing. I cannot go into my menu, right-click and remove. If I want to remove something, so say I want to remove VLC, I actually have to find VLC, which I can either go through here or just search for it. I want to right-click on VLC, and then I have to remove it from favorites. Upside, I can also uninstall from here, which is pretty cool. Okay? But still, like, overall, I really think I should be able to right-click. Now, you guys probably like, really? That's an issue? I'm just bringing something up. Like, it's not huge for me. The other thing I was bringing up is, so let's go back to Mint. I get this vibe, okay, about, I'm looking for, I probably passed it. I don't see it. His blog. Either way, okay, so here's the monthly news. Anyway, my big issue with Mint is I feel like Clem, and I don't remember his full name, Clem, who is the project manager of Mint, the creator of Mint, I feel like if something was to happen to him tomorrow, the project would implode on itself. Now, I could be wrong. There is, unless they got rid of that too, team. So, general, I mean, there are several people in the team, but like, look, maintainers. It's Clem, who does all other editions, and then this Frederick. Local community leaders, it's these people, other teams. I feel like if something was to happen to Clem tomorrow, or Clement, Um, I call him Clem. If something was to happen to him tomorrow, the project would go away. Or, would Frederick continue to use his same values? So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about. That's my issue, okay? With them. That's my only concern. That's it. Easy day, right? Now, you guys maybe want to know why. Let me explain why I'm calling this the apology. So if you guys have ever seen some of my previous videos, especially the ones that took place before the last Elementary OS review, the ones that took place before the first, or after the first one, I always slammed on Elementary OS. Linux Mint has always been my second punching bag. Every time. Every time. I always used to feel like, yeah, they have time to do all this desktop stuff. Because at the end of the day, Ubuntu's building everything under the hood. All they're doing is slapping the new coat of paint across it. Okay? I will tell you, I've been using it now, since I've done my last videos. And using it very extensively. And here's the argument I will make to all of you. Okay? It is one of the best damn desktops I've ever used. Now, understanding that I like Cinnamon as well. But like in the past, if I wanted to use Cinnamon, I'd run Arch. I wouldn't run Linux Mint. I had a huge thing against Linux Mint for so long, but I'm finally starting to see the point. You had Debian who, in my opinion, they're great, but they don't know how to get into desktop. They don't. They make a great geek OS. So Ubuntu comes along and says, we're going to run with this. We're going to repackage Debian in a way that everybody will love it. Cool. Sweet. I like that. And we saw Ubuntu make huge strides in desktop development and making desktop something that we could brag about to our Windows friends and our Mac friends. And then this whole Unity 8 bullshit and Mirror took place. And I'm not arguing that we don't need an open source phone platform. I just think they were the wrong ones to do it, not because they can't do it, but they should have helped sponsor like some other project who was trying to make open source phones and continue to rock forward with our desktop. And I'm not bashing on Canonical. I'm not bashing on Ubuntu, and I'm not even the right person to say that they're making the wrong decision, but for me they are. And this, I tell you, I've been messing around here. It's fast, it's rock solid. There's tons of features and functions, customizations I don't even use. It just works, and it works very well. I mean, like, here's a great example. Okay, so I come in here. Here's my script, right? I double-click on the script. Would you like to run it in terminal? Would you like to display? Would you like to cancel? Would you like to run? I don't get that in Ubuntu. Not that I've ever seen, right? I think I just double-click on it. I've always double-clicked on a text file and it just opens in gedit. Okay? Another example. Maybe it has to be on executables. There is, run as root. That is like run as administrator in Windows. Okay? I have no problem working in command line, but that run as root is actually going to tie into something that I'm going to get to next. So this is an apology video. I'm not actually reviewing the latest features of this release of Linux Mint. A lot of stuff I pointed out to you, they've been refined in this release, but they've been around for a while in Mint. It's just an apology video to the Linux Mint community. If I have ever said anything bad about you in an open forum, I do apologize. I'm not going to say that I'll be on Mint forever, but until I find something better, or what I deem better, I'm going to be using Mint, and I'm really digging a lot of the years of work that has gone into Cinnamon. Plus, in the next release of Cinnamon, they're actually looking at doing flat theming, not by default. You would just go into Themes Manager and enable it. It could eventually be the default, but he wants to ease people into it. How hard would it have been for us to get a new icon set and a new theme package in Ubuntu? We have had the same icons and themes since 11.04. Some people are like, well, they updated 5 of them in 11.10. Who cares? How hard is it? Do they not have a design team? Someone's redesigning all this Unity 8 stuff. So I've heard they're also working on new icons as well. And it's like, cool. So there'll be eventually a release of Linux Mint where Cinnamon's going to change a bit, for better or worse. And if I don't like it, they're still not going to hold me back. They're going to let me go back to whatever I wanted to. And they're going to bring in new icons, which also takes me to my next point. And I just find this like super cool. Change desktop background. Yeah, they don't get rid of any of them. They're all in here. They are all in here. That is like super cool. I could go back to these releases of Linux Mint and pick a wallpaper and do it. It could be like my ultimate favorite. How hard would it be for every time Ubuntu releases, give me like the last 3 releases of Ubuntu worth of wallpapers? All right, so we got through all that. So last but not least, why have I been talking about all these GUI tools? Devin, you like command line. Why are you worried about the GUI? Why this? So we are actively deploying Windows 10 at work. And a conversation with one of my buddies came up. He's a Windows user, but he said, Windows 10 is an excellent consumer OS. Debatable. But without a question of doubt, it sucks for enterprise. And any Windows user who comes and posts, no, that's not true, I will destroy you. I'm not even kidding. Dude, I built all the gold images. We've revised it like 15 times. And then even then, Microsoft does things like, I don't want the damn store to work. And then they push an update that breaks my ability in professional to remove the store. And Microsoft's argument is, well, enterprises should be using Enterprise Edition, which that function will be there. Except they haven't pushed the update yet because I just upgraded Enterprise and I still can't disable the damn store through group policy. What the hell, right? What the hell? Furthermore, it's like, listen, Microsoft, your Windows users who are going out and buying professional, yeah, those may, even if they're home users, those are the ones that want to tweak their system. So anyway, he was asking me about this. He's like, well, can we do Ubuntu? I'm not saying Ubuntu couldn't do it, but if you've ever had to support 150 end users, maybe more, yeah, they don't like change. They do not like change at all, okay? So one of the things about all the customizations and tweaks, and I'll show you real quick, okay? So we can go back into system settings. There we go. We can go into themes. You guys are going to freak, but I'm telling you, we could definitely, especially if I was to do even more digging. Windows 10 Lite. Okay, hold on. And Windows 10 theme. Drop the bar down here. I could go in here, configure, okay? I could probably change that Mint icon to a Windows logo and probably call this Start and drop the bar to the bottom. Guys, tell me about it. This would be the perfect way to do this at work. All right, let me go back and change all that. Mint, because I don't want that. But that was something I was pointing out that, oh my God, we could do it. And our end users would think they're running Windows the whole flipping time. I know some of you would be like, no, we need them to know they're running Linux. No, with end users, you don't want to do that. I mean, eventually you could tell them, but you want them using the system and say they like it first. Once they do that, then you can tell them, hey, you've actually been running Linux. At first you can't though, period. The other concept with all the GUI tools, when you're managing an IT department, you got to have a guy who does help desk. The moment you add Unix command line, and I don't know about where you live, but here in the state of Colorado, if you look at the difference between a Windows sysadmin and a Linux sysadmin, there's about a $10,000 a year difference, average in salary. Hypothetically, if we deployed Linux as a desktop and we didn't have a ton of GUI tools, which means the person we hired would have to have a good understanding of Linux, we would have to pay them more. I'm not opposed to paying employees more, but it's really a hard management sell. Now, if I could say, write a couple guides on how to work within the GUI, we could actually have a Linux guy who comes in, supports through GUI, and we can still pay him the same. And then once he gets his credentials done and wants to move up to a network administrator, system administrator, so on and so forth, then he can make more money. But typically help desk, the help desk position that we hire for pays about $35,000 a year, okay? We're not gonna pay a help desk guy $45,000 a year because we use Linux desktop. But at the same time, if you want a lower skill set person, you have to provide an easier desktop for them to work with, and Mint does that. So there are some of my other thoughts and arguments. So anyway, guys, I appreciate, hope you enjoyed the video. The next thing that I'm going to be working on in terms of a video is I found this really cool distro that helps you easily install Vanilla Arch. Okay, I know some of you guys are like, oh, there goes the Arch thing again. No, but it is cool because one of my favorite ones I used to use no longer works or works very well. And I'm going to show you guys that through a virtual environment in the next video. And then after that, I think we're going to have some more philosophical videos. Maybe more boring to some, others may find interesting. But thanks for watching, everybody.